Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we're going to be checking out some tracks off of an album titled Coincidence Theory from an act named Danny End the Dictators. And if we switch over to here, we're going to get ourselves the album on the screen. We're going to listen to 3 of these tracks today: Take a Swing, Contigo, and All I Know. And so, without further ado, we're going to listen to these tracks from start to finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Take a swing. Groovy off the start with the guitar, bass, and drums. Is that a vocal melody on top? Because that's harmonizing really nicely with everything else.
It seems I took a swing or two. I have to say on a few, I swung right through. Even though I
What kind of rock is this? What kind of genre is it? I love the vocal style. It's nice and fresh. It's nice and wide in the mix. Interesting activity going on with that bass guitar there as well. Lots of pep to it, man. It's great they're exploring the fretboard. A little bit of variety with the drums as well. That's dope. Nice and punchy in the mix. Nice side chaining. There's a bit of distortion or something on the vocals there. There's a bit of grit to it. It's an interesting texture alongside those guitars, which, by the way, I'm really loving the tone of those guitars as well as the bass and the drums. Nice alternate lead voicing here. Good job putting the solo here. It's interesting that we've got everything sort of automated panning out to the sides. We had the vocals going one way and the guitar going the other. I like that. I like that we're kind of disassociating from the center of the stereo field needing to be the vocal point, or the focal point, should I say. Yeah, great harmonies here. Really smart idea. I heard that little bit of a flurry on those hi-hat cymbals then. Dope effort, man. Great finesse. Interesting. I heard parts of it. I heard parts of the vocals and parts of the lyrics. You know, we're talking about we're machines and you can heal, or we're marching through, or something like that. There were bits I got. I'm not going to say that I got all of the words through clearly, but I heard parts of it, and it was an interesting sort of assessment all around. It's I like the quality of the production overall, and I think that it's a well-written track. Yeah, maybe I have to listen through it a couple more times just to get the vocals and the clarity and stuff like that. Yeah, we'll see how we go with the rest of the track. So if it's a stylistic thing, that's totally fine. I think we're heading in the right direction with the stuff, though. I'm going to give it a like, just because I think that I'm really happy with how this has started. Contigo, track number 2. I will talk more about it in detail at the end. but
So this is it, approaching an impasse, moment of truth, crossroads. Don't know what else to say, what else to do. Only infatuous with you.
this is coming more clearly. I'm hearing the vocals more clearly in this one than the previous one. So maybe it's just that there was a lot going on in the range of the vocals in the previous track, and it was a little more difficult to discern.
Every day I want to see you. Every day I want to talk with you. Every car I hear I hope is you. Every text I get it's got to be you. Every day
Nice alternate voicing of those backing ones on the sides. I like how wide they are in the mix. I like how it's an occasional thing. Yeah, I like the spacing more. I like the space between the instruments better, and how we have differences in perceived loudness even within each time of it.
be with you. Every day I want to be near you. Smell you, touch you, kiss you, taste you. I'm not obsessed with you.
I'm not obsessed with you. That's I'm sure I heard that correctly, right? Because I'm sure that's the joke, right? Great choice with these mid-filtered additional melodies, I suppose.
Tango and obsession. Contigo. Tango and obsession. Contigo. No, it's not verdad. 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 No, it's not verdad.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a stylistic thing. When we pronounce the words clearly, I can hear them. I think we're trying to avoid sort of hard consonants in these sort of situations, and so it's more of a flurry of sound rather than a definite kind of statement being made. And that's fine, you know, if that's how you want to roll, that's cool. Oh. Oh, is that like a little bit of distortion in the actual preamp of the recording itself? Great voicing his guitar solo, man. Lots of energy and pep in there. Pianos are nice and playful. And the whistling is an absolute masterstroke. Yep, really clever. Damn, dude, that guy can shred, man. Excellent effort. I mean, if they are deliberately wanting that kind of distortion in the vocal preamp, then that's fine. It's just that's the only thing at the moment, and I'm not even sure if that's necessarily a complaint. There's a lot to respect and appreciate about this album. And enough. It's kind of surreal because this guy sounds like he's going through a real episode, but like, it's kind of giving me a Weezer kind of vibe, if that makes sense. Slash, that's not like less desirable to anyone. Oh, dude, that fill was absolutely spectacular. This is a really strong album. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I think that, aside from one or two things, this is really positive. Really positive. Yeah, 2 for 2, man. I think that track was just simply about being in denial about how into someone you are. All I Know, track number 3. Oh, this is kind of upbeat and cheery and kind of cute. Interesting little lead line here. Nice intro with the drums. Really great, compelling voicing there. Vocals. Yep. Yep. Are we straining there with our like throat? Like, how is our technique there? Because it sounds like we're in a head voice, and it sounds like we might be having a bit of a rough time with that particular range. Could be wrong though. Yeah, nice transition back into that lead, and that kind of vocal crack that we had there was adorable. Really smooth, kind of pretty chill tone to the back accompaniment as well. Again, nice panning of that lead around the headphones. I like the fact we're messing with expectations there, not just having a static in that position, you know?
All I know is what I got in front of me. Feelings in my heart, feelings you can't see. Now
Interesting choice having that lead on that far left only.
I know.
When's that right gonna come in? Ha 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 ha. Hey, yeah, no, it's edging me a little bit. It might have been good just to have that right guitar come in like a bar earlier, if that makes sense. Just so the listener knew we were going in with both. It wouldn't have been less impactful, I don't think, because it's just that I legitimately, like, it just felt more complete when we got there, but it felt like we're waiting a little bit too long for that resolution. But again, totally subjective. It's all about balance and this kind of stuff, you know, but I don't mind being teased a little bit. And we're just doing a fade out here with the clean guitar. Coincidence Theory, because this is the conclusion of my review of Coincidence Theory, which is the latest album from Danny End the Dictators. Mostly I think this is a positive review. The only sort of, we'll go through each of the songs bit by bit. We talked about Contigo, what that was about. All I know is, he was talking about how all I know is how much I want you and stuff like that. So I suppose he's showing a bit of vulnerability, kind of coming to the conclusion of your own situation. And understanding that all you know is what you want and what you don't want at the end of the day. There's more nuance to it. I'd want to have a listen, especially to take a swing a bit more. But ultimately, the themes I think are relatable to a lot of people, and I feel that a lot of musicians will be able to understand it, or a lot of listeners will be able to understand it and appreciate it. The overall tone of this album, from like a vocal perspective as well as thematics perspective, is very kind of like it's how do I say it? Well, it's not calm, because there was some angst, especially in It's Not Enough and Contigo and All I Know. It was like we were crying out. It was like we were sad, but at the same time we were like accepting of our sadness. It was like we were just showing our bellies a little bit to the sky and hoping that lightning doesn't rain upon it. It's smart songwriting, because it sounds very mature and tasteful, and there's maybe an unexpected sophistication to it, especially within the genre. And I'm not saying that the stuff is typically unsophisticated, but I love the articulation of everything, including the vocal melodies and everything like that. Like Danny and the Dictators, the vocals in these tracks were great. I think it's a stylistic thing to have less kind of like clarity in some of those kind of higher range sections where we're sort of calling out as opposed to trying to tell a story. Those hook lines and repeated main sort of vocal motifs. It's I'm glad I listened to more than that first track. I think Contigo is probably my favorite, especially with that lead voice and guitar, but also I just love how it comes in. You're fully getting it off the bat, man. It's dope. It's really cool. We sounded like we cared about it. There was an emotional connection to the lyrics there that was prevalent. There were some points where I think we got into a head voice a little bit, and we were kind of maybe struggling with clarity there. And I know I mentioned the fact that I think I heard some distortion in the signal chain or the preamp of the actual vocal recording, but that's fine. It's just what it is. It's okay. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you want a little bit of distortion or a little bit of gain on vocals just to give them a bit more grit, The structure of each of these tracks, each of them are short. I can see there's much longer tracks on here, like Flagellate the Sky, which is 6:27, and Back Baby, which is 5:17. And I don't mind reviewing the short stuff. Sometimes it's good to review a longer song as well, just so that I have an idea of how they use that in much further real estate. But if these singles are the ones that we think are the strongest, then that's totally fine. Yeah, you know, you keep it like between that 2 to 4 minute mark, you're in that sweet spot. Most people give you the time of day. It's great. And I mean, it's tricky, like with these motifs, like the arrangements had the verses and choruses and little solo sections and intros and outros and stuff. It was that contemporary kind of vibe, but what really elevated, I suppose, was just not only the voicing of it, but also, you know, with the arrangement and the actual performance of it. The drums, bass, and guitar was spectacular. There was not really a note out of place. I loved the solo sections on those guitars. I liked the fact that we had some additional little elements there. Like, I loved how active the bass was in Take a Swing. I like that little sort of like 16th triplet filler at the end of one of the songs. It's these little touches there that show an understanding of where to put what, and we're not sleeping on any of it, and we're not taking the listener's attention for granted. So we clearly practice. There's clearly a chemistry between the different band members. Clearly, we just have someone who knows how to... We have a band that knows how to write music, knows how to perform it, knows how to care about it. And I suppose, you know, then it's just the recording, mixing, and mastering. You know, like for a track like this, where you have sort of like acoustic sort of guitars, bass, and drums playing lots of different, like the drums were fairly supportive of the rest of the instruments. You know, there's a bit of range there, but it's not like we had like plenty of drum solos or anything like that. It was conservative. To get the bass and the guitar sounding good like that, and to not have them sort of compete with each other for attention, obviously it requires things like recording double-tracked rhythm guitars and filtering and staging those lead guitars on top of the bass and all that, and making sure the side chain's done with the kick and all that. And we nailed all those fundamentals of the studio process. I've got no real complaints about that. I think that it can be difficult to balance these levels and get everything sorted, especially when you have expressive tracks like these. But nonetheless, we absolutely smashed it. The actual quality of the vocal recording as well was great. Again, I know I've spoken about the style, but the actual quality, the coloration, the tone of it was enjoyable and refreshing to listen to, and I've got nothing but love for the effort that was put into it. You know, there were clear, easily identifiable motifs within each of the tracks. We built and developed them slowly but gently, and there was absolutely no filler. Again, there was dynamic range to the performances. It wasn't all the same loudness. So you had little breaks and stuff like that just to kind of sink, let yourself rest for a moment before kicking back into it. And all in all, like the limiting compression was always absolutely splendid, as well as the leveling of different instruments in the mix. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I think that this is a strong album just from listening to these 3 tracks. I get the impression that the rest of the album is going to be of this quality, and if that is the case, then we're going to have ourselves a great time. So I personally recommend it, but thank you very much for watching my review of Coincidence Theory by Danny End the Dictators. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go and show Danny and the Dictators some love via their various social medias and their Spotify page. Stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.